Okay. This is the exterior. We've got painted brick, and then we've got some fabricated panels. And these right here, brick is a great product, okay, because it's fireproof. That's not your walls. Your interior walls are wooden. This is your exterior cladding. This brick. It's basically fireproof. Low maintenance unless you paint it like it's been painted. So there's always going to be that maintenance issue to it. See these little holes right here? These are called weep holes. And what they're designed for, brick is porous, even though it's been painted. But brick walls should have weep holes around the perimeter, and then also around the windows. Not this wooden door here, not this window here. This window here with the metal lintel, that metal bar right there, there should be weep holes above that. And the exterior light fixture around the base, this wall sconce, that should be sealed with a sealant to keep water from getting into the brick system. And the exterior, and I guess I can go ahead and trip this. I don't usually like to, but I did take a peek of the garage just a few moments ago. It's GFCI protected, and it is GFCI protected. Now, really what I brought you out here for, okay, but really what I brought you out here for was the air conditioning systems. Wow. But while we're still talking about the windows, just yank you around some more. There should be Z-bar flashing over this window. I get that this window is underneath this, inside this little nook here, and the water's not likely to affect it. But in the installation instructions, that they do not differentiate. This is still the exterior. What we're talking about is the condensing units for the HVAC systems. This is kind of handy for this first one. But if you want to take the second one out, it's just not going to be very practical. All I can say is working on it, maintenance, service, working on it is just not going to be very practical. I don't know of a code or requirement that differentiates it, so I'm just going to call that to your attention. This paneling, when it comes to the floor, under the floor of the porch, there should be 2-inch gap, called a weep screed, kind of like the weep holes, over here. Alright, there should be a gap around the perimeter inside this niche for the siding. Okay, so where we're at now is where I wanted to start. This home has 2 systems, System 1 and System 2. The boxes, again, were protected inside this niche, but these boxes should have been sealed. There's no differentiation about that. They should have been sealed on 3 sides so that water doesn't get behind that. This is the wiring. It's been laced up pretty good. Okay. Now these disconnect boxes, disconnect boxes are not supposed to be located behind the units. You shouldn't have to reach over this unit to get to these to service them. You stand in here, that's not 17 inches of space. 17 inches of space. There's not enough space. These boxes should have been located, well, probably over to the side. Probably over to this side, maybe 1 and 2. That'd be ugly. But most manufacturers recommend that these block-style condensing units should be at least 12 inches from the wall to allow air to circulate through there, so you have good efficiency, because those coils are dependent those coils are dependent on air traveling across them. because what they're doing is they're moving heat. So when you have a unit that's this close like this, it's going to restrict some of your airflow as if the coils were dirty. I can tell by looking inside of here. This is like I said, basically it's cursory, first time. We got some high and low pressure switches in here, but we do not have a reversing valve. So this is a conventional cooling system. It's not and it's not 60 degrees outside here today. So we're going to be able to turn these on to see if they respond. And any data I would collect in regards to their performance would be erroneous. It would be an exercise. Really all we're going to know is whether these things come on or not. And that's just the nature of the beast, but we're going to be looking at those. So let's start with number 1, okay? Well, we're still doing the duplication stuff. Alright? Again, we're in a niche, but these holes in the walls, they should be sealed to help prevent water and mice from getting in there. So that's a good rodent infiltration, moisture infiltration. See the way the insulation is crumbling off of this? Okay, see the way the insulation is crumbling off this? These are the low pressure refrigerant lines. And the reason why it's crumbling like that on both of these units, the reason why is because they used the wrong kind of insulation. And then they went in and they wrapped it with foil tape trying to meet the intent of the code. Many years ago this was acceptable, but this kept happening. So since 2015 they required a different insulation. They do not say an insulation wrapped with foil tape. If the foil tape cracks, it breaks, and it doesn't stop from happening what it's supposed to, intended to stop. Okay. Another thing is 2015 with R22 is these valve caps. And this is on both of the units. Both of the units. So what's happening here is that those are Schrader valves. Look that up in the dictionary. You won't find it. Refrigerant service valve port cap. 2015, these were required to be anti-theft caps, and they're not. And I get it, we've got a gate right here, you can put a lock on the gate. But again, I'm not, the code inspector basically has, some of the authority, privileges if you will, to be a judge. The code inspector can say that's fine. But all I know is that's wrong. That's all I know. Now, what does it mean to you? I don't know that. Okay, so number 1, well, is it says 14 to 15.5 equal to or greater than 14 SEER. SEER is your energy rating level. So these have been rated at least 14. This is the data for number 1. And if we read this data plate correctly, what we learn is that this unit is 5 years old. It's a 2-ton unit. It uses the good stuff, the R410A refrigerant. And we're going to learn in the electric service panel whether this has a 15 to 25 amp breaker, preferably 25, but that's what we're going to learn. And that's what we get from this data plate. What we're going to get from this other data plate, okay, number 2, okay, what we're going to learn is that it's, again, 5 years old, but unlike number 1, instead of being 2 tons, this one is 3 tons. Like number 1, this is 410 refrigerant, and unlike number 1, which requires a 15 to 25 amp breaker, this one requires a 20 to 30 amp breaker, preferably 30. That's what we've learned about the air conditioning systems. We'll come back and revisit this one more time when we do the plumbing, or some of the plumbing. So that's where we're at.